Running the ball is often an overlooked skill in Madden, but it can be a great addition to your offense to always have your opponent on their toes. Today, we're going to talk about some of the most important things to do when running the ball. So, with that being said, let's dive right into it.
All right, guys, we got this. Let's go. Gun right, triple E. Close, let's go. On one, on one.
Ready? Hey.
What's up, guys? It's Pick'em with HuddleGG, and today we're going over 5 tips to help make you a better runner in Madden. So let's get started with number 1, and that's knowing when to use the sprint button. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make when running the ball is sprinting way too early and way too often. There's 2 reasons why you don't want to sprint early on in the play. The first is the defense is going to shed quicker when you are pushing sprint. And then the second reason is it's going to be harder for you to navigate the hole and navigate the run with your running back when you're holding sprint as well. It's not as easy to make subtle cuts and change directions with your running back when you are sprinting. So my biggest key when I'm running the ball is I don't sprint until I'm past the linebackers. Okay, so when I'm in the box, when I'm in that the center of the defense, trying to navigate which direction I'm going to, which hole I'm going to choose, I'm not sprinting during any of that. The only time I'm really going to sprint is when I get into that open field, down the field with the secondary, and then at that point you can sprint because you're not changing directions as much at that point. But what you'll see a lot of people do is they're going to say hike and they're just going to start sprinting, and it's going to make it hard for them to navigate. Sometimes they'll bounce off a blocker or so, but it's not going to be a nice looking run, and it's not going to be consistent for you as the offensive player if you just sprint immediately when you get the ball. So I'll show you what I like to do here. So if I say hike, I'm not going to push sprint. I'm going to navigate. I'm going to wait. And then once I get out here, this is when I'm going to sprint. Okay, once you get into that open field and once you have beaten the initial part of the defense, right, that defensive line and the linebackers, once you get into that secondary, that's when I like to use that sprint button. Again, I don't want to use it at all early on in the down. And you can see here how patient we are with this run. So we say hike, we're not just sprinting directly through a hole. I'm going to pause, hesitate for a second, and I'm going to see which hole opens up. Obviously, you see the hole there open up. And then at this point, again, I'm still not sprinting because I don't know where I want to go yet. Do I just want to put my head down and go north and south and get an extra 3 yards? Or do I see this hole over here to the right side where I can navigate through? And again, if I was sprinting at this point, this would have been a very, very difficult cut for me to make back to the outside here. But you can see because we were not holding sprint on this play, we were able to cut this to the outside and we're able to take that all the way to the end zone for 6. The second tip we're going to talk about to help make you a better runner here in Madden is going to be knowing what calls to make versus specific defenses, right? So if we come out in an inside zone call or any run that attacks the inside, right, attacks the center of the defense, but our opponent comes out in something like double mug and they bring this user down to crowd the middle of the field even more, it would be silly of us to keep trying to run inside zone or any inside run right at the teeth of this defense, right? We don't want to run where the defense is its strongest. We want to run where the defense is its weakest, right? We have a lot of people talk about, well, we ran it, but we're not getting positive yards. You can't just pick a run play and expect it to work against any defense in the game. You have to really attack where the defense is vulnerable. So again, if we see this look from the defense and we come out in inside zone, we don't want to say hike and run right at all of these guys, right? It's going to not put us in a good position for success. And the key to running the ball is trying to give yourself the chance for the most consistency possible, right? There will be times where if you see this look here where they're crowding the middle and we run inside zone, you may break a tackle, you may bounce off a player, you may get lucky and get some positive yardage, but you're not going to be able to do that consistently. So what we want to do is we want to know how to attack that defense, right? So in this look here, the defense is vulnerable to the outsides, right? We want to attack the edge of the defense. So instead of running inside zone, let's run something like stretch, outside zone, even a jet touch pass here. It's technically a pass play, but it's essentially a run to the outside with our receiver. And this is going to attack where the defense is its weakest, right? So if we say hike now, instead of attacking right there in the middle where they have all of those players, we now can attack the edge, and there's a ton of open space there you see available for us. Now, the same thing's going to apply if they really spread that defense out, right? So let's say that they come out in a dollar look and we weren't expecting it, right? So let's say that they come out in dollar because we've been running all of these outside runs the whole game, right? But let's say that we come out and we're running the jet touch pass is what we have called. But when we come out now, they're going to be in a look like this, right? So let's say they come out in a dollar look like this where they're all spread out. And you see how, obviously, we don't want to run to the outside against this look because that's where they have their players now. So instead of attacking the edge of this style of a defense, we would want to attack up the middle. So we could go to something like a fake jet, but now we're running a read option up the middle, right? So if we say hike now, instead of attacking the edge of the defense in this look, we're attacking the center, and you can see now we have a ton of open space up the middle because we're attacking, again, where that defense is most vulnerable. The next tip that we're going to talk about is utilizing the read option game rather than just your traditional runs like inside zone. Now, the reason why read options are so effective is because it gets us a +1 in the box, and I'm going to show you how. But first, if you don't know where to find read options in your playbook, if you go to the concept tab here in the pre-play menu, you're going to go down to option, and you see read option here. We have 20 different plays we could choose from this that we can, again, take advantage of this read option call. So if we come out in the play, I'll talk to you about what I mean by getting that +1 advantage. So if we look at the box here on the defense, they're going to have 6 people in the box, right? They're going to have the 4 down linemen, and they're going to have the 2 linebackers, right? So they have 6 people. We only have 5 people there to block them, right? So if we ran a traditional inside zone, they're going to have more players than we're going to have, and it's going to be hard for us to be consistent. With a read option, you're going to see that one of the defensive players is going to have an R above his head. He is going to be an unblocked defender, but that's going to give us the ability to, again, get that +1, where now we have 5 blockers to take care of the 5 players there. So instead of it being 6-on-5 for the defense, we've now created a 5-on-5 look, which is more to our favor because we have somebody to block every defender there in the box. Right now, this also allows us to keep it with the quarterback depending on how they play it. But the main thing why I like read options is it puts that defensive end in conflict, and it's going to make it a lot harder for them to stack that box because we're able to take one of those defensive players out of the play, right? So for instance, if they come out and let's say that they play the quarterback first, and for those of you that don't know how to run the read options, if that defensive end of that read key stands up, you want to hand it off, which you just say hike, it'll automatically hand it off for you. If he crashes down, that's when you want to keep it with the quarterback, and I'll show you both here. What you're going to see is if we see that guy stand up, again, it's still going to allow us to get the numbers in the box to get those consistent runs because our offensive line doesn't have to worry about this guy over here, right? They're going to leave him unblocked and block everybody else, okay? So they're leaving this guy unblocked, which now gives us that 5-on-5 advantage in the box. Because again, anytime that we have the same number of blockers as they have defensive players, that is an advantage to us as the offensive player. And the only reason we were able to do that is because we were able to take this backside defensive end out of the play. And again, we're going to really react to what he does to determine if we keep it with the running back, like you can see here, easy 5 to 10 yards, or if we pull it with the quarterback. Okay, so if we come out in that same look, but now that they are playing the running back, you're going to see that that defensive end is going to crash down, and that's when we want to pull it with the quarterback. So again, when you say hike, just push A or your hike button again to pull it. But now you're going to see that if that guy crashes down, we can pull it, get to the edge of the defense here, and we have a ton of space. So there's a few reasons why I love read options. 1, it gets us a better advantage in the box count, and then 2, it's going to have the ability for 2 different players to run the ball, right? We can either pull it with the quarterback and keep it around the edge, or we can hand it off to the running back. But either way, read options are something you really want to add into your offensive repertoire. The 4th tip we're going to talk about here in the run game is paying attention to the second level defenders or paying attention to those linebackers. Now, the reason why this is so important is how they react and how aggressive those linebackers are really helps us determine, do we want to keep it to the outside? Do we want to cut it back? Again, it really helps show us the direction the run needs to go. So this is something that's very, very effective to do on plays like stretches, outside zones, jet touch passes, but really you can use this concept on any style of run. It's just more built with that zone style scheme. Again, even inside zone, but outside zone, stretch, jet touch passes, those types of runs. But again, if you're running a power, you can still use this method when looking at that second level defender. So again, let's say that this is the user here and he stays to the middle of the field and he's not being super aggressive. Now this is a little bit harder for me to show with 2 controllers because I am controlling both the defense and the offense. But if we see this guy here, the user, that second level defender, staying to the inside of the field, that's when we want to break it to the outside and get our easy yardage there. Now, obviously the run didn't look super clean. Like I said, I was just doing that with one finger there. But what you're going to see is if we see this guy staying to the middle, right? He's not getting outside with this stretch call. That's when we want to keep this stretch to the outside, and we're just going to be able to get our easy yardage there. Now, again, it will look better if you're using this in-game with both hands on the controller, but what we're going to see now is if this guy here over pursues, that's going to open up a cutback lane for us, right? So if we say hike and we see this guy over pursue, that's when we want to cut back up into the middle of the defense where he left, right? A lot of people are not disciplined in their run defense and they don't fill the appropriate gap. So that's going to open up these lanes for us. So again, you see that user there. A lot of times if they are seeing somebody run to the outside, they're going to try to get out there themselves early, but that's going to open up this wide open gap here. And that's going to be something easy for us to cut right back up into and get ourselves some easy yardage there. Okay, so again, understanding where those second level defenders are going is key in making sure that you're taking that run in the appropriate direction. The last tip we're going to talk about almost feels like a cheat code, but it's something you need to be doing, and that's using the Tennessee Titans home stadium and home uniforms. All 32 teams have their own home field advantage, but the Titans improves your blocking, but most importantly, it allows you to avoid all holding penalties, so you can actually set your blocking and coach adjustments to aggressive, and you will never get a holding call throughout the game. This is huge in allowing your linemen to hold their blocks longer, opening up way more opportunities for you in the run game. And if you guys are looking to get even better at Madden, make sure to join our free Discord by going to HuddleGG/Discord.